Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the live Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to join the Flat Earth debate community, then go to nathanoakley.com and join the forum to keep up to date with the community Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join this discussion right now, then simply click the link in the info box below this video with the page you are currently watching on mute to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by Unorthodox, The Plain Truth, Sleeping Warrior, Paul, Earth Flattener, we've got Eric, Chocolate Saiyan, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Afternoon.
Hello.
Morning.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Oh, I got a news update, by the way, about space travel. Apparently, the company that wanted to, Mars One, that wanted to go to Mars, a private company, it went bankrupt, so they're not going there anyway. Turns out they're not going because financial reasons. They didn't get enough money.
Oh, what do you mean? Right after Trump offered them all the money in the world? Oh, that's too
I'm not
bad.
sure if that's actually the case. It doesn't explain. It's just like, yeah, we're so disappointed. They had such a one-way trip idea to go to Mars. And yeah, they went bankrupt, so they're not going. Oh.
No worries, Elon and SpaceX, they'll get there.
Yeah, there's always somebody else, and they're not going to go bankrupt, of course.
Just kick
They'll
the can.
just push into 2040s. That's it.
Kicking that space can down the road.
Yeah, I had a
They're kicking the space can down the road.
Hey Jose, how you doing?
I'm pretty good, thank you. Just here to fill the panel, just so the trolls not
There
to
is,
come
good
in.
to have you.
Thank you.
Hey,
Well, you are the troll, Jose, come on.
Right? Yeah, no, I'm cool, I'm cool.
Just kidding.
Hey, Orthodox, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Because we were talking about navigation. If we were on a sphere, as we've been told, if you were to fly a distance over that sphere, which would be the shorter distance, closer to the sphere or further away from the sphere?
It's negligible difference.
Well, that's not.
No, there's
the
a
same
difference,
variable
but
doesn't answer my question.
Well, it's the
negligible.
further away you go out from the center, but the distances you're talking about is negligible. I've looked at it before, and the math works out to something like just a tiny percentage.
Really? So
Yeah, I can work it out for
a plane
you.
flying. So a plane flying at 40,000 feet would have the same negligible distance to travel as a car on the ground.
Yeah, it's a negligible difference. I mean, I could calculate it for you, but I've done this before.
Right,
Me and
okay.
the guy were talking about this. It's a very small distance. You can do it yourself. Just look at the distance from New York to Los Angeles at 3,959 miles, which is the radius of Earth, and then look at the distance from New York to LA at 3,000 964 miles, 5 miles extra. If you traverse that arc 5 miles out from the surface of the Earth, it's a very minimal difference in distance.
Yeah, but you could, if the Earth was flat, you could account just the ascent and descent, because they're not driving, they're not going in a straight line. They're going so many miles up and so many miles down. So it could account for that too.
I'll just say I had a picture that I brought with me. That's Jose's that I wanted to talk about. I kind of analyzed this a little bit and wanted to show you guys this and see what you thought about it. I know you talked about it a little bit before, but I analyzed it a little bit. And I wanted to see what you guys if your position was the same, if your position has changed at all. I don't know if Nathan's still here or not. He would have to present me.
You having a
If he's
laugh?
not
I
here,
run the
Is
show.
it another monument to the curvature of the Earth?
Nathan is the host of the
Yes.
show. He's not gonna be here.
Oh,
on
yeah.
today.
I don't think he's here.
Yeah, it's alright. I think
Yeah.
you're dumb. I run this bloody show, you stupid asshole. Yeah, I am here. I run this show. I'm the host.
You
Yeah,
did.
don't laugh, you stupid dumbass. Yes, I am here listening to your stupidity.
Okay, well, will you present my screen? I want to talk about this image.
Oh, by the way, one minor adjustment about the Mars One update. It's only one company that went bankrupt, which doesn't cause the entire project to be cancelled because the foundation, the driving force is still going, but it will be postponed. So you can still hope.
Keep sending your money.
Yes, exactly. They just need a little bit more money and eventually they'll get there.
I think you guys have to click on my icon in the Hangout to see the image that we're going to be discussing. And Nathan, you might want to present this to your audience
The
so they can
sunset.
see what we're talking about.
The sunset. The
No, it's not sunset anymore. Maybe it's going to take a second to update, but I've got a picture of a lighthouse on screen.
I can see a sun on your screen.
I can see a sunset.
I see a sunset on your screen.
Just sunset to me.
Okay, well, it hasn't uploaded it, or it hasn't fixed itself yet. It's just a connection issue, I guess. It should show a lighthouse here in just a second.
Maybe stop screen sharing and do it again.
Okay, all right. Let's see here. All right. Okay.
So was it you with a different username on Orthodox in Discord that wanted to talk about this lighthouse?
Yeah, you sent me some. You sent me your original images. Yeah, I'm B50 and
Okay.
on Discord. I don't know if you guys can see now,
Yeah, you're presenting now.
but okay. So it's this. It's Jose actually took these. I think this is a really, really good example of how things can disappear behind an Earth curve. So here's the original lighthouse. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stripes. It's about 140 feet from bottom to top, and to the top of the stripes, and then the top is another 30 feet. So here's the second image. This is Jose got this from 17 miles away. Notice you can only see 2 stripes, right? So you're missing what, more than 60%, 70% of the object. You know, this is a really, really stellar example.
Sorry,
of things
I heard at the
disappearing.
beginning.
Of obstruction.
Sorry, hold on, Arwin. At the beginning, you said disappeared behind Earth curve. How do you get from something being obstructed from the bottom up to it being Earth curve?
Well, there's no other explanation.
Yeah, there is. So there's a limitation of your angle of view due to the distance. So yeah, there is other explanations. The deck that he's looking over, by virtue of perspective, will rise up to the midpoint, even though he's very low to the deck, causing obstruction from the bottom up. So yes, there is other explanations beyond your religious assertion that it's Earth curve doing
Well,
this,
what are
even though
they?
you didn't demonstrate that.
Unorthodox.
You've just
Stop.
made that as an assertion
Stop.
and are now talking over me.
No, it's me. It's me. Unorthodox. The burden of proof is not on us. I would like you, and I've asked Jose this as well. I would like to see your elimination of every variable you've considered. Okay? Don't
You
tell
just
me.
need common sense.
No.
Sorry, that's not common sense that you've used. It's a religious assertion that it must be Earth curve because it must be. That's the only explanation. That's a dogmatist's assertion. That's the assertion of a religious zealot. It's not the only explanation. And what you're now being asked for is your elimination of any other option. And you're saying, no, it's common sense.
It's directly observable. I don't know what...
Yeah, the obstruction is observable. The bit that's not observable is your religious assertion that that obstruction is Earth curve. That's not observable. If it is, show me where it's curving.
Directly observable that this is being
Yeah,
obstructed.
don't just repeat your religious assertion. Show me where it's curving.
It's from the bottom of the water to the bottom of the lighthouse. Here, I'll show you another image.
No, stay on this image. You didn't. You seem to be going off that image. Are you scared of that image now that I've got a hold of it? You seem to be ignoring it and going to a blink test that's taken from a completely different angle. So this is not the same angle. You've now blink tested something that is completely different vantage point underneath it, looking up, rather than at this very limited angle over a very large distance. So this is a complete straw man and a total misrepresentation of the two different realities of when you are close to something with a wide angle to it and far away with a narrow angle to it. Now that's one of the explanations that you totally ignored when Travis asked you if you had discounted the other options. Now you've moved on. So let's go back to the original picture that I asked you to show me the curve in. Not your blink test with totally different... This one. Explain again. Where's the curve?
You can see obstruction.
Yeah, I know I can see obstruction. For the second time, you're going to get kicked out. Where's the curve? Not obstruction. We can all see that. That's
I just told you there's no curve. It's obstruction, Nathan. How many times do I have to repeat myself?
Excellent. So there's no curve there. You asserted at the beginning that it was Earth curve obstruction. Now you're saying the contrasting point of view, which it's not curving. Well, there seems to be a contradiction there.
Sounds like a knockout due to a self-inflicted blow to the head.
Yeah, the contradiction being you asserted obstructed by Earth curve. Those were the words you used. Obstructed by Earth curve. Now you're saying it's just obstructed, there is no curve. So, that's a completely contrasting statement.
I couldn't hear you because there was 5 people talking, Nathan. You're talking over everybody.
Unorthodox, we don't have to give you an explanation because it's common sense.
Well, I think that should show a lot to the audience.
Oh, it seems like you just started talking over Travis. Shut your stupid mouth, dumbass. Just because you've got a religious belief that it is obstruction because of curvature doesn't mean we'll accept it. You'll have someone like Travis saying, well, have you discounted the other options? And you, with your religious dogmatist assertion that it must be Earth curve. That's not going to fly here, dickhead.
I have this down in a few options. One of the options will be a mirage mirroring, in this image that could be hiding the bottom of the image, but it was a very crystal clear day. There was no mirage in this day particularly. So that's one of the
sorry, Jose. Jose, if the mirage is caused because of something behind the obstruction that's physically actually obscuring the bottom of it, how would you know whether or not the bottom of this is compressed like Ranty's boats if it's obscured? We can't tell. Yeah,
right? I also did a little. I deleted.
Why
I
have you
did
put
a
the shit on
compression
screen?
like this.
I'll kick you out, Unorthodox. Put the picture back on. This is from a totally different angle. Right
no,
on
it's
top
not.
Of it.
This is not from a different angle.
Oh, really? So these are taken from the same distance. This one that says it's 140 feet, 144 feet, which is not an angular size measurement. It's an actual size measurement that will not change with distance. So this is a total hijacking of perspective. That lighthouse is not 144 feet. It's an angular size depending on its distance. But the 144 feet won't change at any distance. So you claiming that it's not the same angle is bollocks. It is a totally different angle when you're right next to it, looking up. The one that's in the foreground is blatantly, obviously taken from underneath it. You're clearly looking up at it. This is a totally different angle. What? Right, that's your last chance, you stupid asshole. Get out. Don't talk over me, you stupid dick. Get out. I'm sick of it. I'm in the middle of explaining how it's a totally different angle. In the middle of my point, he starts talking. Basically, he's become rumpus. I'm not going to tolerate that shit. No, I'm pointing out that you're looking up at the one in the foreground. Clearly, a different angle. Yeah, when I point that out, he starts talking over me and then moans because apparently he can't hear over the sound of his own stupid voice.
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
I'm just wondering, could you tell me the name of the lighthouse, please?
Sure. Jose?
Yeah. It's Rumpus, by the way.
Jose, do you know the name?
Kemah, K-E-M-A-H, if I'm not mistaken. I can find a map. I can click on the coordinates and post it in the Skype chat. Is the best I can do.
That's all I really wanted to join and just see, and then I'll just do some work on it and see what's what. Right, I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
See you in a bit.
Yeah, because I got the control image I have, besides this one, is from a little over 4 miles away, from a different vantage point,
Oh, sorry. One last thing. Where did you take your image from? The same spot that you took it from before?
Yeah, in the long street pier type of thing. Yeah.
Right. Got you. Right. Cheers.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I gave him long enough before I kicked him out. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Surprised he lasted that long.
He was a little over talking. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Like I was yesterday. Yeah.
Hey, Jose, do you think it's possible to do like a time lapse of that shot?
I've been wanting to go back, but these last 2.5 weeks it's been super cloudy and rainy over here. I don't have any visibility whatsoever.
Have you seen the time lapse videos of Skunk Bay on Taboo Conspiracy?
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah,
I mean, that should show you how much atmospheric conditions.
Why are you running away like a little bitch baby, Nathan? You can't debate.
And change apparent size and how things are squashed or elongated. I mean, it looks like the top of that lighthouse, even though it's 17 miles away, is much longer than it should be at that distance. I mean, it's really difficult. Then you have the apparent, like the angular size of things closer are going to obstruct the bottom.
On those time-lapse videos, I forgot the detail. In the top, like above, I know in the bottom of the image where it's close to the water, it stretches and compresses, and do all these wobbly things. How about the top? Does it stretch and shortens also?
I mean, it looks like it's magnified. I mean, that's just an effect. You said it's a clear day, but I mean, there's never going to be an absence of atmosphere. So the further away, the more compressed the atmosphere is going to be, and it's going to have a magnifying effect.
Oh, wish Anthony would have showed that video he posted. That would have been awesome.
I would imagine he's now playing Command and Conquer. Why'd you keep rejoining Unorthodox?
I thought we were debating here. I don't understand why somebody accidentally kicked me when we're debating.
Yeah, I did.
Is this not a big boy show?
Yeah. I was in the middle of explaining how the two different shots that you had, one with the lighthouse in the foreground and one with the lighthouse in the background, are taken from completely different angles. One would fill the majority of your camera view, one is a tiny few pixels on the horizon. That is a difference in angle. In mid-sentence, you started talking over me. That's why I kicked you out. I gave you one last chance. You continue to do it. That's why I will now kick you out, say, piss off, come back on the next show when you learn some fucking manners.
Yeah,
So about
and you warned
I'm sorry.
him much more than once, by the way, Nathan.
So in this one image of the lighthouse, it's very visible the two stripes in the top. It might be magnified, who knows, yeah. But how about then in the bottom, there's these trees or houses blocking the half of the image, of my actual image. So if it's compression, it should be then 2 stripes visible in the top, and it's got to be 4 or 5 stripes in that little band in the bottom. I did a little game with it, but it's just, I mean, it doesn't add up, like for real.
See, how far away are those images that are closer than the lighthouse? So they have to figure out their angular size. Because
they're about 10 or 11 miles away.
Okay.
Here's a question: does compression always have to occur for visibility to for the observation, or is there other factors that may not account for compression?
I'm pretty sure, based on the information that Life is Short put out recently, that the compression is actually due to refraction. Real refraction, before globeheads jump up and down and go, hooray! Not 7/6 of the begging the question radius value. No, that's terrestrial refraction, but actual refractive effects. So in the past I have incorrectly asserted that it's the same effect as pushing the bottom section in the lower half of your field of view out to a further distance. That's not strictly accurate. Yes, there is a more limited field of view to the bottom, causing things to disappear bottom first. That bit is true. But me saying that it would squash before doing that is incorrect. Ranty was right, I was wrong. We had a side bet. I was completely focused on the angle, he was completely focused on the atmospheric conditions, and the truth lies somewhere in between. But that actual squashing that Ranty shows on the Stena line, I don't think that's down to the limited angle.
But there could be, in certain conditions, compression, and other times no compression but obstruction.
Correct. So if you look at Red Pill Philosophy's video with his lighthouse, it's a perfect day. just very, very lucky. I don't want to say lucky because you've got to get out there to do it, and you know you've got to be there to get lucky, if you know what I mean. So it's not luck, but it's actual effort and doing it. But ultimately speaking, he happened to catch an exceptionally clear day with virtually no refractive effects. And when you look at, or not me, when Life is Short looked at the stats for that day, the air and water temperature were basically identical.
I took some photos. Sorry. I said I took some photos of Myrtle Beach when I was out there. This is when I was first started looking into flat Earth, and it looked to me like because it was really humid that day. There's a lot of humidity in the air, that it almost like magnified the image and pulled the water almost up in front of everything. It seemed like because the buildings I was photographing was probably at least 15, 20 miles away at least, and and I looked it up to see what the highest building was, and most of those buildings should have been obstructed by Earth's curvature. There was a bit of obstruction, but at the same time, you could tell the buildings were magnified in the image. So I just, anyway, just one of those things I'm thinking about.
Yeah, there's a channel called The Plain Truth, I think, and he has some recent footage from California with lighthouse and oil rigs. Jose, I've made this point to you, and I'm going to just bring it back again. The very first image on my oil rig, I would try to say is analogous to the top of your lighthouse. So you only see the very top of the lighthouse. Where's the rest of it, right? My first image of the oil rig, all you can see is the very top rigging. You can't see the body. Where did it go? Oh, an hour later, there it is. I didn't move. Nothing changed except the atmosphere. Okay? You have to be honest and just take that into consideration. I'm going to say it again. I've made comments on your video, hoping to get some interaction with you. I look forward to it. But when I saw and watched your video, I could see that the lighthouse was bigger than I thought it should be at that distance. My mind was expecting to see a smaller lighthouse, but it's not. It's larger, which made me think that it was closer. Okay? So it's not, I don't know what else to say, except just to ask you to just think through this, man.
Oh, I thought through this. Actually, yeah. Objects in the very far distance appear a little bigger than they should be. Something with the cameras, the optics, I mean, I'm really not sure. And it has been documented a few times, and I agree. Rob Skiba is a good example on the Chicago or whatever, and the big building that you can see in the foreground. You can see the little tip, but it's gigantic. If you scale it, it should be super gigantic, a mile freaking high. And I know this magnification, lensing thing could be a thing, but it just haven't been documented enough to make a solid case in favor of the flat Earth, is my honest opinion.
And that's why we're here, Jose. That's what we're trying to do here.
And then another detail that I have to just delete of the possible explanations, because the lighthouse is not just sitting on the water. There's trees and bushes blocking. So if there's any atmospheric condition that is going to make like your oil rig disappear and appear in the distance, that's been blocked by the trees. So I don't know what's going on behind those trees, but still, scale to me is an issue. And if I do a control image, a blink test, I cannot do this. I cannot take a picture from this same distance far away, because it's going to be the same. It's going to be blocked the same way. So I'm not going to be able to take a control image from 17 miles away and compare it to this one, because I'm going to have the same image missing the bottom half.
Okay, so Jose, here's my point though, and that is in the same footage that I have with the lighthouse. Okay, I have the island disappearing underneath the lighthouse, and the lighthouse is appearing as if it's closer to the water. Where did the land go? Because in other images from the same distance, I can see the entire island, and then the lighthouse is way up on top, okay? So I hear what you're saying, that you can't get the same image. I'm telling you, go out and get another image at least, okay? Shoot it a couple of different days. I went out 3-4 days in a row, okay? go back to that same location and see how it changes. You can't just take one picture and think, well, I'm just going to keep getting this image the whole time. I might as well stop. Don't do that.
Yeah, he's filming over the tidal bore.
Can you guys see my video? This is my video. Can you see it?
Yeah, you're up, Paul. I've had it playing for the last minute or so. So if you want to talk us through it, you feel welcome.
Yeah, this is. You can look on Google Maps for it. We were staying at the Seahorn, and the way the beach curves, it kind of curves. You go north, it kind of curves out over, or goes out eastward over the ocean. And I'm taking a picture kind of across, trying to video those buildings, and you can see that the buildings are magnified in the image. You know, and there's a barge. I don't know if you can see it in this one. Yeah, that barge right there that you see, I think I guessed, or that pier is roughly about 2 miles away from where I'm at currently. You can see the buildings. They're magnified off in the distance on all these images. I did this is my P900 at work. I didn't do as much as I would love to have done, but that was my work.
Good footage, thank you.
So
yeah,
Jose,
very good.
listen,
Thanks for presenting that.
Jose, that's the point I'm making. Is if I went out on the first day and I saw that very first image of the oil rig and thought, oh well, I'm just going to see that again tomorrow, so I'm not going to shoot, I would have missed what I got the next day, which was something completely different.
What you got, Ranty? You figure something out?
Yeah, Jose. What elevation would you say you were above sea level?
Well, it's contagious because my on my dioptra showed me I was like 16 foot above the water, plus the tripod it was 22. But I guess in the Google Maps in the computer says I'm like 12 foot above, plus you add another 5 foot of tripod, so it'd be 16, 17. You can do 15 foot. Do it lower. It's okay.
Okay, just 1 second. Just give me a second. Okie dokie then. Right. I'll present my screen. Just 1 sec.
Oh, are you ready to present off the back of that then? I thought you'd need to go away again.
Who, me?
Yeah.
No. Right, Jose, let me know when I'm displaying.
Yeah, you're on.
Okie dokie, right. Jose, I've put your viewer height as 16 feet. If I was to put your viewer height at 20, we're looking at something that's 7 miles away. Do you know what I'm trying to see that's 7 miles away in your direct line of sight? Would you like
what was the question again? Sorry.
Okay, well, you see this pier that comes out here, this jetty?
Yes.
It's only 7 miles away, yeah? Only 7 miles away. Now, if I put your elevation that you told me is 16 feet, and let's just move that back down to 16 feet, hidden is just 3 feet, right? Refracted hidden 1.5 feet. So essentially, we should be able to see this, should we not? At 7 miles away. But yet we don't.
Using the calculator, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, but we don't see it in your image, do we? If we look at your image over here, where is it? Here.
I don't see it.
No, you don't see it. Do you know why you don't see it? Because you're filming over a tidal bore, which is what I've told you.
Yeah. Okay, continue.
That's pretty much it. Because in this image, you should see that jetty. You don't see it. So if it's not hidden, if it's hidden behind something, and you know that this location is renowned for this tidal bore, you actually filmed it yourself. The tidal surge as it comes in, artificially raising the height of the water. You should be able to see that, and it's not there. So if you can't see that, there's something else going on. It can't just be Earth curve, can it?
Right. So then that's why you go out the next day to see if all of a sudden, oh, where'd that jetty come from? I didn't see that yesterday. You got to go out again and again and again, Jose. Please do this.
Because yeah, this is only 7 miles away, Jose. So you should see this. You should see this. Should be no reason why you don't see it, but we don't see it in the evidence, do we? That's the first thing that I just want to point out. That's just as a cursory look, something that's 7 miles away that you should be able to see, and we don't. Which tells me that the the water level has been artificially raised up. And if I was to put you at 20 feet or 22 feet, then you should have a clear line of sight to that. You shouldn't, none of it should be missing at all. There shouldn't be just 3 feet or 2.5 feet. Nothing should be missing. Does that make sense, Jose? Because you told me 22 feet.
Yeah. No, yeah, I see what your point.
So I put you at 22 feet. This is 7 miles away. The hidden's a foot. Refracted hidden, 1/3 of a foot. So we should see all of it. But if I drop you down to 16 feet, we've got 3 feet of hidden, 1.5 foot of hidden. We should have no issue with seeing that. So I think that kind of just says, okay, something else is going on in this location. We know the tidal bore happens as it comes in. You filmed it. That's the obstruction. It's not curvature.
Or to put it another way, the model does not dictate what we should or shouldn't see.
Yeah, that's why I don't like using the curve calculator at all whatsoever. I just look, analyze, and see, just my own discernation. People tell me, you got only 5% discernation. I don't care what you say. I just see things, I like taking footage and analyzing it my way.
So the thing is, though, if that pier is being obstructed from your line of sight at just 7 miles away, how much is being obstructed due to this influx of water that's coming in from the tide at something you're trying to view 18, 20 miles away? If you can't even see the pier that you should be able to see.
Yeah, in a nutshell, there's a lot more to it. A lot more to it than just asserting that it's Earth curve obscuring things, because if that was the case, you'd have a model that worked.
Sorry to interrupt. I gotta go. Thanks for letting me take part.
Thank you.
Thank you. In another little different change of subject, I think it was last week that I redid the angle of attack on the supermarket. And I did it in 4 different points on the supermarket. I wasn't able to bring any type of laser or level and make sure the floor was. I wanted to, just to replicate it the same way I did it. And I did it in the 2 points that I did the video before, where the light disappears. And I was able to replicate it exactly like I did before. So I did the same distance, same camera angle, same light, and it did happen. I was able to replicate the light disappearing from the bottom up. Now in 2 new different locations in the supermarket, across in the other side, the light did not disappear. And then in the back of the supermarket also, in another spot, the light did not disappear. So the same way I did it before, it did happen. I was able to replicate it. And then in 2 new angles I did it, it did not happen. So I don't know what conclusion I can make out of this, but I'm just put the raw video out there. And some people watched it, some people didn't, but this is what I want to do. I want to either prove it or disprove it. And I think I found myself in the half point,
I think I did see that video. Like I did mean to ask you, like what were the differences in the distance from when you got it and when it didn't work? If you know by heart, I don't know if you know.
Yeah. No, I think it was. I mean, the only way I could measure it was in the Google Earth maps, and I put it really close, and I threw a line, and it was telling me it was 150 foot. When the light disappeared. Then I did it across in the other side, and it was a little shorter. It was about 100 foot. The light did not disappear. Then I did it in the back part of receiving. It was a little longer than 150 foot. It was maybe 170 foot. And the light did not disappear in that spot. Where it did not disappear, it was a longer way. It was not a reflective floor. It was just like porous concrete, and I couldn't make it replicate it in a longer distance.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
And I got a few more days. I got 3 more days. I worked tonight and 2 more days this week, and then I'm done. I already, I'm moving back to Florida Monday or Tuesday. So in between all those days, and I'm planning on making a quick stop in the Pontchartrain area in Louisiana. Again, I'm planning on stopping on the Little Texas Bayou on my way there. It's maybe 3 hours from here. So I'm gonna do a quick stop, take a little bit of footage, upload it, and then make my way to Pontchartrain Bridge, take a little bit of footage, go across the bridge, take another little bit of footage, and continue to Florida. Same way I did last time. It's in a rush because my car is loaded with everything I'm moving from the house. My wife, the dogs, is gonna be crowded. It's gonna be uncomfortable, tired, but I'm still gonna take a little bit of footage and upload it to see what I'm gonna get. Whether it's good or bad, I don't know how it's gonna be the weather, but hopefully I'm lucky enough to get a clear weather day to get good footage to share. And this is going to happen between Monday or Tuesday next week.
Cool, man. Wish you luck.
I didn't want the point of the last show to get lost, which I thought was really a good direction to go, which is that the consensus is that evolution is what it's actually happening. So that's why they didn't allow creation into it, because it wasn't part of the consensus. And then that led to us talking about NASA and how they're everybody's darling and they can do no wrong. And then Unorthodox came in and proved that point, because he was saying that there was no technology for them to recreate or take footage of the globe in 3D, even though NASA would have this technology if anybody. So it was an awesome show, the last show, and I hope we can keep talking about that, because there is no place for creation, there is no place for evolution in science, and that's the point. We shouldn't peddle any of those.
I hear you.
But there is the point of reasoning to the best explanation. I mean, it may not be necessarily following the scientific method, but what is the best explanation for the evidence that we see? So I don't know if you could just completely dismiss. I mean, obviously I'm a Christian and I believe in intelligent design, but you know, that would, to me, from what I see, that's the most reasonable explanation. I mean, evolution doesn't fall into you have random chance, randomness that would cause all the diversity we have.
On your mark, ready, set, let's go.
Getting trolled, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you have an answer either way. We had this discussion before, and you have to beg a creator. You know, you can't get there with any sort of logic. You know, and it's the same with evolution. If you're coming from one and the randomness, you know, I understand that, but that's the point.
There's a guy, he's a detective. He does a really good job talking about, like, if you go into, let's say you go into a room and you see a dead body laying in the room, you know, and you have to determine whether it was natural causes, accident, or murder. And how do you go through the process of determining that? It's really good. I could try to find that and present it, but I think there's some good aspects of that. And I think, you know, when you're going through what we're going through, you have to kind of walk through that process. You know, like, to me, as we've said before, you know, there's DNA, there's information in our system. You know, I'm sitting here talking, which implies intelligence. Well, where did that intelligence come from? It has to come from another form of intelligence. You know?
Through necessity. It would have come through necessity, right? And I was thinking about that because we had this conversation last time, and I was at home and I was looking out the window and I saw a hibiscus tree, hibiscus that we have a bush, and it was pink, but when we got it initially, it was purple. And so for some reason it changed color. And so I looked it up, and it's because the pH in the soil changed for whatever reason. And so out of necessity, I think that hibiscus changed color. You know, and so everything is just together. Everything goes hand in hand. Whether it changed color because the bees around there have a lower pH, so they're more attracted to a different color. Regardless, the hibiscus changed, and I have a logical reason for it, and it must be for necessity. I don't know that for sure, but You know, it seems pretty obvious that everything works like this.
Right. One of my biggest arguments I've always told people, like transmission of a radio signal, you can have a transmitter and transmitting a signal. Well, you have to have a receiver on the other end, that can translate that signal into whatever you want it to be, whether radio, TV, or whatever. Hormones in the body work the same way. You have to have the transmitter, which is the pituitary gland. Then you have to have the receiver, which is the receptors on the cell. Both are required for either one of those to function. Like if the pituitary started pumping out some kind of new signal, if the receptors on the other end didn't know what that signal was, it's useless. That implies that that's information. There's an implication of that, of some kind of designer, across the board.
I mean, you can keep saying that because you want to go in that direction, obviously. But if you just look at it logically, I'm just going to keep giving you explanations for it, and I'm going to go back to that Portuguese man of war. That is a bunch of organisms, but ultimately it comes from different parts. And so the reason you would not find the medium that got from point A to point B from the organisms, each individual organism that makes up this man of war, is I don't know if you believe that, but they say that 99% of things that existed on Earth are extinct, right? So you wouldn't find those pieces of the puzzle. All we have are just a few pieces that obviously are very important. But if you got to paint a picture, it's impossible because all the things that got us to this point are gone.
Yeah, I can try to remember that's just another number they give us. We don't know.
Yeah,
but
exactly
what's extinct, what's not. You know that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it just logically makes sense to me. And if you paint the picture, it makes sense. And that's why I brought that up. I didn't bring it up just, well, they said that, so you have to believe this. It actually does make sense.
No, I see what you mean.
Well, but even in that, you don't know how the man of war came to be. You don't know. It could have been an intelligence. You don't know. So, but I mean, again, it's like there's an inference to the best explanation. And that's part of even what we're doing now through our observations. We're trying to say what's the best explanation for what we're seeing. We're trying to understand and trying to get there. I mean, I couldn't, like Nathan or Anthony's video about the tank. The best explanation is, there's the more dense medium, the more refraction is going to occur. That's the best explanation because you can see that across the board. Where the explanation for the curvature is, it becomes like less and less because we're finding explanations for it. I'm saying the same thing is occurring here. Like information implies someone that produced the information. Can't get away from that.
I keep getting away every time you bring something up. I get away from it. You just don't want to hear it. If you don't want to hear it, that's your problem.
No,
I am giving you a logical explanation toward everything you say, and you ultimately say that just to me begs of a creator. That is not an answer. And when I give you an answer and I give you examples of a hibiscus tree and the pH changing, thus that's why it changes color, you don't then apply that to, well, I have eyes and my eyes have a certain color, so that must be intelligence. It's like, no, I just told you about the hibiscus changing color. So what is wrong with you where you are not applying that to everything else? You just then go to a creator. Well, that must be intelligent design.
Well, okay. Well, let's break that down. Give me
like eventually you're going to go back to the tornado. Eventually you're going to go back to the tornado, and you're going to be like, well, show me a tornado that goes to a junkyard and then makes a car. When obviously what I've been saying to you is that the tornado is breaking down the junkyard because all that stuff is made by us, and Earth is trying to take its resources back.
Okay, well, show me the mechanism that's going on with the hibiscus. Walk me through the mechanism.
I can't walk you through the mechanism. I don't know about hibiscus. I was just looking out the window and I thought about the part where you said, well, what determines my eye color? Well, what determines why I can see and why I can talk and why, all these things. And I just looked out the window and I looked at a hibiscus and saw that it had changed color from when I bought it. And then, so then I looked it up, and it's because the pH of the soil changes. And so all these things, you can just connect them to the next thing. I didn't go any further into it, but it just, because it made sense to me.
I know, but the mechanism that's causing that is as they say, the devil's in the details. You know, just because it changed, I mean, it could change color, but we don't know. Okay, don't take. It's just a phrase. Okay.
Sure, it is not in your context. In your context, I think
okay,
you want your audience.
I want
your audience to see me as a bad guy, and that's why you would say the devil is in the details. To me, the beauty is in the details. The logic is in the details. It's not a devil.
Let's talk about the logic then. Let's talk about the logic and the details. Go do the research. And show me the mechanism that's causing that hibiscus to change its pH. There has to be a mechanism inside that plant that's causing that. And then you give me an explanation of how that mechanism.
It's the soil that's doing it.
No, the plant is, well, it may be change. Well, there's still a mechanism that's causing either the plant to either recognize the pH in the soil or changing the pH in the soil. There's a mechanism.
Yeah.
Just because it's happening, give me the best explanation.
The mechanism is Earth. That's the mechanism.
No, okay. Then I can argue, well, the gravity. I'll just argue gravity. Gravity did it. The mechanism is the Earth. Or I can even say
when you say just say a creator. Say a creator. It's the same thing as saying as gravity. It's the same thing.
I mean,
when I say Earth, you can see Earth. You can see all the things that are happening.
Okay.
I mean, when you look at the soil, it changes pH for a reason. There's worms in the soil. Worms eat things, and so it's just everything is working together.
But again, there's a mechanism that's causing that. Right?
Earth is the mechanism.
Okay.
Earth. It's very easy to see. If you don't want to see it, if you want to then attach a creator to it, that's because you have an interest in a creator, not because it's actually needed.
So you explained to me how we're having this conversation through Earth.
The same way the soil transmits the information to a hibiscus.
So the soil has abstract thought, has logic, has reason, has philosophical understanding, has understandings of concepts. All that the soil has all that.
You said that, I didn't. Well, I like it. I like that thought. I don't think we have the technology to know if the soil or the plant has intelligence. It's a good thought. I think it's a decent direction to go in because we don't know that.
And I've said this.
It makes more sense. It makes more sense to me that those have some sort of communication, whether we can understand it as people or not, over it must have been an intelligent design.
But even in the sense of communication implies information being transferred, right?
What? I'm sorry, what?
If a communication is occurring, that means there's information being transmitted, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Where did that information come from?
From everything else that's on Earth.
So the information created itself. Is that what you're saying?
It came from everything else. Everything is energy. You can't create energy nor destroy it. Everything has always been here, and you can't make it zero. You can change the way it is. You can change it from a gas to a solid. You can do all these things, but you can't make it disappear.
Sorry, can I just interject 1 second? Did you just say that? Did you just say that information is energy?
No, everything is energy.
But I would disagree. I would say that information wouldn't fall into that category. How can you measure the energy of information?
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, if I have to go with everything is energy, so the information is transmitted by us and talking and our brains, but energy would have created the parts of our being that need to communicate that. So
Sure,
specifically,
I don't disagree with that. My point is to try and back Paul's assertion. Not that I necessarily agree with it.
Yeah.
But what he's saying is, if you take that as your standpoint, where do you get the what is required? There you go. What's required to have the information in the first instance?
Necessity, time. When something.
Neither of those develop information. So.
No, they don't develop information. But as far as information as far as Earth is concerned, information is just a concept because it's not really needed. Earth is going to do what it's going to do, regardless of what we do or no.
But that's Paul's point, isn't it? So you're saying, as far as your standpoint, information is not needed. Well, that's fine. And in terms of the bit you're arguing, that's correct. However, information is real, but there's something specific that's needed for information to exist in the first place. I'm just going to tell you, it's a knower.
Yeah.
A knower.
Well, okay, so information, you're asking where does it come from initially?
No. What is it? What's required to have it in the first instance?
Existence.
My answer would be intelligence.
Yeah.
No.
Sure.
No.
See?
Intelligence. No, intelligence is just required to grasp it. Doesn't mean it's not there without it.
Well, without a knower,
information
there is no knowledge.
there. It requires existence.
Yeah, it requires a knower. That's what I said.
Without
the existence of soil,
there is no
without knowledge
information.
being existent. Until you have a knower, you don't have knowledge.
Right.
But that supports Paul's argument. I'm making him along. He's off mute now, so I'm hoping he'll carry on from there.
Well, I mean, no, that's fine. I was good. You guys were actually good. That was good. I was letting you guys go there. You're right. Information requires a knower. A knower, someone that knows it. Well, that implies. I mean, if I started typing a bunch of random keys on the keyboard, it'd be gibberish. It could be gibberish. But if I start writing out words, then it has meaning and purpose. Without someone that initial knower, I guess that's what I'm driving at. There has to be an initial knower, because everything else would be gibberish after that if it's not.
Right. The creator, creation.
Right. That's my point. I mean.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? How it all works out mathematically.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I'm not implying a Christian God even at this point. I'm not even got into that argument. Yeah, I'm just saying I mean, the fact that the Earth is flat, there's certain things, like even us talking about the laws that govern the way this world's set up, whether it be thermodynamics or density and all this stuff, implies that there's an order to the system. There's an order. The system is orderly.
The Earth is flat.
A pattern. There's a pattern to it.
Right, and so a pattern implies someone that created the pattern. My 2-year-old.
Maybe the pattern was always there.
I see. I know where you're going with that. Then you're getting to an eternal. You're getting into an eternal regression. There's things that always exist, and that's the way it's always been. Well, I mean, even in life, everything starts. Everything has a beginning. Everything.
Well, maybe look, if the pattern could just be nature itself, the pattern could be a side effect of creation itself. It's just how things crystallize, how they manifest naturally.
But okay.
Everything doesn't necessarily have a beginning. You don't know if the sun had a beginning. Could have been here forever.
Oh dear. True.
Can I prove? Okay, here's I'll throw Nathan's argument in there. I can't prove scientifically that the sun had a beginning. I can't.
You can't even scientifically prove what the sun is.
No, I can't. Yeah, I mean, I can't even.
So how could you prove a beginning?
Well, I'm not even done yet. I can't even prove that I had a beginning scientifically. I can't. I really can't. Through the scientific method, I cannot prove that I had a beginning. But I watched my daughter be born, which means implied that.
That's ridiculous.
What do you
Can't
mean?
make that argument. You can't compare your daughter to the sun. It's crazy.
Well, wait a minute. I know you didn't even let me finish. You didn't.
Where you're going. You're going through the same. You're going to creation. It's easy to break you down.
Okay. Well, no, because it's the best. It's the best.
It's not the best. It's
but you haven't shown any
faith-based. It is
well,
faith-based.
So is yours.
No.
So is yours.
Creation
No, it's
doesn't
not.
necessarily have to start. It's just, I'd call it design. Because creation is to build something where there was nothing. But design is just inherent. Nature has the design. The design comes rolling out. We discover the design.
So my house.
Earth is the designer. It's not that complicated.
Oh, really? No, design.
Yes.
Design. Not designer, design.
Well, but was my house that I'm sitting in that you have never seen, was it designed?
Yeah, by you.
You are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or the Nathan Oakley channel, then you can pick up the rest of that discussion shortly after the credits roll, because the after show will follow. However, if you are watching this in the live audience, this unfortunately is the time we bid you farewell and say a massive, huge, enormous thank you for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate, and of course a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you want to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate community, then go to nathanoakley.com and join the Flat Earth Debate Community Forum to keep up to date with all the Flat Earth Debate Community Forum goodness. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!